All right, this next story is a little bit funny, so you're free to laugh at this one as well. I remember one time when I was driving with my grandma and grandpa from Portland to Seattle, and it was a really hot day. You know, that 1 week a year in the Northwest where you get maybe 100. No, I'm actually being serious. This summer, it was like 100 degrees, 105 degrees, and I remember we didn't have air conditioning, so Grandma, you probably remember this, or you will in a little bit. And it was sweating in the car, and about halfway to Seattle, our car overheated, and there was smoke billowing out of it, and Grandpa, luckily we were kind of close to an off-ramp, so we kind of pulled up to this off-ramp, and we were sitting there, smoke coming out, and the memory gets a little bit shady because I was young, but I think I heard Grandma say something to the effect of, Lawrence, and she was kind of looking in the rearview mirror, and so I looked behind me, and there was these really scary guys coming behind our car, like these four hillbillies, and they were, they were all chewing tobacco and spitting it out, and Grandpa was pretty calm and cool, if I remember. And they came up and they knocked on the side of the car, and Grandma and I were kind of freaking out. You remember this, right? And what was funny is they turned out to just be the nicest people in the world. I think there was 3 or 4 of them, and they had a son who was about 25 years old, and they were walking. They didn't have a car, and Grandpa had this 5-gallon empty jug in our trunk, and the dad said to his son, he said, "You take this 5-gallon and you go to the nearest gas station," which you couldn't even see. It was probably miles away. Again, the sun burning down. And the kid took it all the way down, came all the way back. The mother and the father stayed there and chatted with us the whole time while we were waiting, filled the fluids up, cooled down the engine, and the car started up, and we were back on our way. And I don't remember exactly what Grandpa sort of said on the way home, but I remember it was to the effect of, help can really come in all different shapes and sizes, but that God will always protect and provide for us. So I'll never forget that image of these guys walking up, spitting, chewing tobacco all over the place. But my dad is a pastor, and so growing up, I got to hear a lot of stories. And over the course of 30 years and, however many thousands of sermons I heard him preach, you tend to hear a couple of the same stories over and over again, and every once in a while one of them sinks in. And one of the stories, Adam, you can go to the next slide, one of the stories that I remember, more of a concept that he always talked about, was this idea of generational change, or people being a generational change agent. And really what he meant by this idea was that most people, or most parents, just simply tend to do what their parents have done, and how their parents act, and what their parents believe. And so I'd hear my dad tell stories about how our family history was changed because Grandpa was the first male in our family to become a Christian. And when I think about the impact that this had on my life, it just floors me. I grew up in a loving Christian home. I went to a Christian college where I met my wife, and now I have 3 kids who are being raised to know Jesus. And I think, could this really all be because one man made this decision to know God that changed the entire course of my family's life and my life and my kids' life and all of their kids' life? And really the answer is yeah, it did. Grandpa was the generational change agent in our family. And, I'm standing up here confident that I'll go to heaven really because of him. So next slide. Here's another 4-generational picture. This is taken not all too long ago, maybe less than a month ago. This is of my brother and Grandpa's 5th great-grandchild. Next slide, Adam. This is my grandma and grandpa's house, and I love this house. I have a lot of great memories at this house, Thanksgiving and Christmas and running around the circle that was in the house, and my grandma's banana cream pie. But one of the things that I like most about this house actually wasn't on the inside. It's right there, that door right there. I love that door, because one of the things we did was me and my brothers and sisters would stay with my grandma and grandpa a lot, and it was always a sad time when my parents came to pick us up. We never wanted to leave. And whenever we did leave, though, my eyes were always fixed right on that door right there. Because when we were leaving, my grandma and grandpa would always just be standing at that door. They would stand there when we got in the car. They would stand there when we put our seatbelts on. My parents would often let the car idle just a little bit longer so that we could get that last glimpse of Grandma and Grandpa just standing there waiting. And even as the car pulled out and we were rounding around the corner, Grandma and Grandpa were still there. It was almost like they never left. And so even now, as a 34-year-old man, when we're there and leaving, Grandpa won't be there anymore, but in my head, I always turn and look at that door, and, I kind of see them there. All right. This is one of my favorite pictures. I love this picture. In fact, I hadn't seen this picture until about, a couple of years ago, and my sister came running down the hallway, and she said, "Paul, do you know who's in this picture?" And I said, "No, it looks like a postcard to me. Like one of those really cool, trendy postcards that you'd see at Pike's Place Market and one of the, really cool stores." And in fact, if I was hard-pressed, I'd probably say that he kind of looked like Charlie Sheen a little bit, if you know who that is. My grandpa was really cool. But it's not. This is my grandma and grandpa. And I love this picture because, first of all, it makes me think my grandpa was really cool. And it reminds me also that he had an amazingly rich life. He married the woman of his dreams. He had 3 kids. He had 5 grandkids, and then 5 great-grandkids and counting. And so, my grandpa's really cool, and I have the postcard to prove it. So I'm going to close with this. Growing up can be hard, and being different can be hard. And so, growing up left-handed was difficult at times. And I'm not saying growing up left-handed was like it was 100 years ago where you got beaten or people tried to, change you from being left-handed to right-handed. I didn't suffer greatly. But, being different's hard. And, teachers in school, always found it hard to teach me how to write if they were right-handed. Or, sports coaches found it hard to teach me how to throw a baseball or swing a bat because they were right-handed. And kids, right? Kids just like to make fun of anything that's different from the normal, so you get the occasional joke about being left-handed. And so, of all the psychological scars that I probably have somewhere in my memory from my childhood, none of them is from being left-handed. And the reason for that is because my grandpa was also left-handed. Just me and him. And he never, he thought it was really cool, and I thought it was really cool, and my parents always made me feel special, not different for being left-handed. And, so when I look at a picture like this, I don't see a man who is at the end of his life, and I don't see a man who is dying from a brain tumor, and I don't see a man who's dying from cancer. I really only see my grandpa eating with his left hand. And, just the way he was made, just the way he always ate, just the way God made him, and God made me, and God made my first grandson, or my first son, left-handed and very special.